people have come to some agreement on higher taxes are the way to go, but maybe not wealth tax. You think wealth taxes?
I don't think a wealth tax is the way to go, to be clear. My comments I made a few nights ago were more like the energy of people.
So we should just back up a minute for those who aren't familiar. So, Mike, you've blown up on the web because of a line that you said went viral, saying that, look, billionaires, you're not victims, you're the luckiest people in the world. People took that to mean that you were pro-Warren, but what they didn't read was the second part of your comments, which was initially when you heard about her campaign, you felt she was divisive. You said, quote, how are you going to heal the country by saying all rich people cheated? So where do you come down on her overall agenda?
Listen, I think she's pivoting. I think she could win the election because she's smart, she's witty, and she seems to be the best candidate on the stump. She's not my top choice. And so she is pivoting. I think her recent language is a lot softer than all billionaires cheat. My point was LeBron James just seems to be better at basketball than everybody else. I don't think he's cheating. And so, but I do think if you step back, for 40 years, the rich have been getting richer for lots of reasons, not because they're cheating. There's lots of structural reasons. And we have a wealth gap in our country that just doesn't make sense anymore. 60% of America can't afford a $5,000 hiccup or even a $500 hiccup. Yeah. And so we need better taxation. People complained during the Obama administration, they're going to kill us with taxes, yet 8 years and the rich got richer. Not one of my friends' net worth went down. It went up.
But look, Leon Cooperman is the son of a plumber from the Bronx. He was the first kid in his family to go to college. I mean, he really is the American dream. And this idea that because you're a billionaire, A, you're the reason so many people are hurting, and B, therefore you can't have a voice because once you say anything in this environment, just because you're a billionaire, you're discredited.
Well,
do you think Leon's right, or is Elizabeth Warren right?
That's rubbish. I mean, listen, there's lots of billionaires with lots of voice, right? I mean, I was with Paul Jones a couple nights ago. He's got a voice, and people listen to him, and he's got an opinion, and I think his opinion
But I think the
matter.
point is that Elizabeth Warren doesn't think he should have a voice.
I
that's
think
part of
and he's helping her. By the way, what he said just galvanized her base. And she couldn't have asked for a better foil.
This is all a reaction to where the country is, right? Just like Donald Trump, and no one ever thought Donald Trump would be president or could be president, and he touched to this anger in the United States that 60% of people have been left behind. Elizabeth is touching the same base. She's just being a politician. Mike, I don't think it's good.
Why wouldn't you attribute the malaise for the 8 years and the wealth disparity growing? Why wouldn't you attribute that to overregulation, to an economy that never really got kicked into high gear, so that you didn't get any wage growth at the bottom? Why immediately? What, you wanted more redistribution? You think that would have helped?
Go to the 8 years before that when you had George Bush and the rich got richer versus everybody else, and go to the 8 years before that when you had Bill Clinton.
I would
been a one-directional.
Yeah, but you can't just talk about these things in a vacuum and say here's a cause and effect. To me, because the Fed stayed at zero for so long, we tried to engender a wealth effect, and the policies were so bad that the people who had assets, they got marked up, but there was no growth at the bottom.
But then the question is,
but there's growth. But now we're starting to see it. Now we're starting to see it in terms of wage growth at the bottom and in the middle. You're starting to see.
I'm not for a wealth tax, but the question is, sure, we did that on the fiscal side. The question is, on the tax side or on the monetary, do you try to solve for the other piece of it?
But I just asked you, we do raise taxes. You don't want to pay down any of the deficit. You just want to expand entitlements even further.
Wealthy people pay 20% less on capital gains than income tax.
Okay.
Almost all my income I've made in 20 years was funneled into capital gains.
Right.
And so my 21-year average tax rate.
Or something, or
no,
self-loathing, or where
I'm not
are
at all.
you?
I actually have a whole lot of fun out there.
Okay.
My point is that we should, given that we have a world that's in disequilibrium, that we have 60% of our population. So do you want to do redistribute?
You just want to redistribute. You want to move it from, or do you have something good to do with the money you're taxing?
We should redistribute. We need to redistribute.
Just redistribute. Just move it over to the other.
In a perfect way, I'd redistribute all on a digital wallet. So, because I don't think government actually spends money efficiently.
So you don't even want to improve education or opportunity. You don't want to. Why don't you equalize opportunity?
Of course I do.
Why don't you redistribute opportunity instead of redistributing?
Mike, what do you mean when you say you're opposed to a wealth tax, but you want to redistribute? How would it work?
Well, listen, there's lots of ways to raise taxes. I would take capital gains and move it right up to income tax, right? Close the gap. you already get the benefit of deferred taxes, right? If I buy a stock and hold it for 10 years, I'm not paying tax until I sell it.
That's like an annuity.
So now I'm getting two benefits. Right, I'm getting deferring my tax because I'm wealthy enough to hold it that long, and I'm getting a much lower tax rate. You don't need the double dip.
Compounding. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's something.
So there are lots of ways to raise taxes to pay for some of these programs that seem to make sense.
That's different than Bernie Sanders just capping wealth at $1 billion.
I think he's reasonable about it. You look at.
And by the way, Leon Cooperman said the same thing. He would be supportive of bringing capital gains to the same rate as.
But he doesn't know whether
that doesn't win on the campaign trail.
He also says work. Or I was going to say work for 50%.
We should be working 9 months a year for Uncle Sam and keep the last 3. I mean, you're fine. Nothing can hurt you, Mike. But some of us still got to try.
I don't think we should work more than 6 months a year. I think if people actually paid 50% tax, you'd be shocked at how much more tax.
We all are paying 50%.
Nobody's trying to raise your taxes. They're not. Then why would I even be worried about that? Like you, I'd say
that
go.
That assumes he's not worth $50 million.
Yeah, it assumes I'm not. Don't assume. It makes an ass out of you and me.